Hi everybody! My name is Joan and I have been a full-time italki teacher for 1 year. So I wanted to share some tips and tricks about how I attract so many students. Today I'm going to show you 5 things that you can do to your profile to attract more students and start teaching more lessons. Number 1, your profile picture. Let's face it, people are making a first impression of us based on our pictures. It's kind of like a dating site, but on italki, you don't have to be really attractive or sexy to make a good first impression. You just need to have a good picture. Now, my picture is taken with a professional camera. It is a professional headshot, but you really don't need a professional camera or photographer to take a good picture. For example, these pictures were all taken of me by my fiance on his iPhone 7 Plus. So if you have a friend with an iPhone 7 Plus or 8, I'm assuming it will have that great portrait mode. This is a great option. And basically any high quality smartphone today should give you a pretty decent picture. Now, italki's guidelines require that you keep your face a certain size in the picture, about like this. So you can't be too far away, which kind of cuts out some options for full body photos. So that's a little bit bad if you have a really cool hobby, I don't know, like skiing or horseback riding. You can't really showcase that in your picture. Another restriction is that you cannot be wearing sunglasses in your picture. Now, this is really great because the students want to see your face as clearly as possible, but it really cuts out a lot of our vacation photos because I'm always wearing sunglasses on vacation. It's a great idea to try to include your hobby or your profession in your profile picture if possible. For example, I have a microphone in my picture. I am a stand-up comedian, and this is one of my headshots. So I definitely want to showcase the fact that I am a comedian, or that I can hold a microphone, I guess. Because that's what makes me stand out a little bit from all the rest of the English teachers on italki. The second thing, and this is really big, the second thing is your video. Now, I'll admit, my video is a little bit overproduced. I shot it in a lot of different locations, and it does kind of show off that I travel a lot. But you don't need to have as extravagant as a video as I have, but you should try to put in some effort and make it really interesting. Now, if you live in a great city that people are really excited about, like if you live in New York City or Chicago, maybe you can find a great shot with the skyline behind you. Or if you live near the ocean, you could go by the ocean. You have to be careful with the sound of the waves, but I think you get the idea that you should try to find a cultural or naturally beautiful spot and take a great video there. Be really careful that the camera is not shaking. Now, you might think that your friend or your husband or wife can hold the camera, but usually they can't. So if you can find a tripod or set up something with a ledge, having an assistant helps, but recording it yourself might be better because you can get the camera more stationary. Because no matter how stable their hands are, they still shake a little bit. The other thing is the sound quality. If possible, record the sound from another microphone. Now, some people will hold their iPhone here. I used a lavalier mic, so it clipped onto my shirt and went down to my phone that was in my pocket. The mic that I used was only about $10 on Amazon Prime, so you could consider buying one of those. Just make sure that you're shooting it in a setting where you can get a good sound quality and where there isn't too much background noise. Again, having a professional camera will help for your video, but we can shoot a good video on any smartphone these days. For example, half of my video was shot on an iPhone 6, which isn't even a good iPhone. So if you don't have a good camera or have a good smartphone, I think you have at least one friend who has something that can help you out. So in your video, make sure to include the things that set you apart from other teachers. For me, that's the fact that I am a stand-up comedian. So I did include some footage from one of my shows, and I think it looks pretty cool. So if you have something that you love to do, you can cut in footage into that. If you have iMovie, it's super easy to use. Otherwise, YouTube has a video editor. I haven't experimented with it much because I do use iMovie, but you can make something really simple. And just by adding a title, you will make yourself stand out from the rest of the teachers that are just recording a video at their laptop, at their desk, kind of, well, kind of like I'm doing now. The third thing is the price of your lessons. Now, in order to set yourself at a high price, you're going to need some experience first. We're going to talk about statistics at the end of this, but to attract more students, you might need to lower your price at the beginning. I know as an American, it's really difficult to agree to teach for $8 an hour or $9 an hour because that's not enough to even buy dinner. But in order to get to that $20 level, that $25 level, you're going to need some reviews on your profile. You're going to need some former students, and you're going to have to start teaching with some lessons at a lower price. For an American English teacher, I think $10 is a good level to start at for the first 20, 30, maybe 50 lessons, and then you can raise your price up from there. This is just my personal opinion. I started out at about $8 a year ago and quickly raised my price every 20 students that I acquired or every 20 lessons that I taught, something like that. And now I'm at $24 an hour after teaching 500 lessons, and I have no problem getting students. Now, some of my original students that started out paying $8 an hour, of course, I did lose some of those. I've kept a few of them. Unfortunately, italki doesn't have a good system to keep those students at a locked-in rate. So if you want to give your students a discount because they've been with you for a long time and they started at a lower price, you have to like change the lesson price. And it's a little bit complicated. The student has to accept the change. So whenever I try to do this, the lessons usually expire and I don't get to teach them, which is really sad. So one thing that I've done is communicate with my student in real time and offer to sell her a package at $15 an hour instead of the $24 an hour because she started out with me when she was $8 an hour. So I logged in at the exact same time as her, changed the package, and then changed the price back. I know it's a little bit difficult and sometimes we get really attached to our students, but you have to remember that a lot of your students actually can afford the higher price, especially if they're from a really developed country and have a great job. They probably chose you based on your picture and your video and your personality, and they're not going to mind when you raise that price up. In fact, a lot of my students told me my price is too low. And this really encouraged me to build the price to where I am today and turn italki into something that I can make a living off of. Number 4 is your availability. I can't stress this enough. Now, I know some of you are doing this as a part-time job, so you don't have the flexibility that I have, but you have to think about what time zone your students are in that you're trying to get. So for me, because I speak Chinese, most of my students that I get are from China. So I need to focus on those prime hours in China time, in Beijing time zone, which is from about 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. So when people finish work. Now, if you're teaching children, that would be a little bit earlier. But I make myself available from 6 to 10 every night in Beijing time zone, which for me is from 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. in the morning. And after daylight savings time, I'm going to have to wake up and start teaching at 5 a.m. That's not going to be fun, but I really appreciate the freedom that I get from my job. And so if I work from 5 until 10 or 5 until 11 in the morning, then I take a nap from noon until, I don't know, I'm not going to tell you guys. Also, it's important to have a lot of availability, as much availability as possible. When students are booking a lesson, if they look at you and see that you're only available for 1 or 2 hours every day, that's not going to impress them a lot. You don't have to be available 24/7. That's absurd. But being available maybe 8, 10, 12 hours a day will give them a lot of flexibility of when to choose their lessons, and you don't have to teach that long. I'm making a separate video about how to manage your italki calendar, so you can check on that, and that will tell you how to adjust the calendar as you're working so that you don't have to teach that many hours in a day. For example, I only teach 6 hours a day. That's it, because I can't really handle more than that. My voice gets tired and I'm just lazy, I guess. Okay, number 5. I guess this isn't something you can do today, but this is something to think about. Number 5 is your statistics and your reviews. Now, students don't want to book a lesson with someone who has taught 0 lessons. That's not impressive. Once you get above maybe 10 or 20 lessons, I think they trust you, that you know how to work the site, you know how to teach a class, so you're going to start booking more students naturally at that time. Now, your reviews. You can't control these because the students write them, but you can control which ones are featured on your profile. You can select the best reviews written to you. What I recommend is choosing reviews from a student who has taken a lot of lessons. So my featured reviews are from students who have taken 30 lessons, 20 lessons, 17 lessons, something like that, to show that people want to stick with me, and I guess to demonstrate that I'm good enough to keep studying with after some time. So those are the basics of creating a good profile that's going to bring in more students for you and help you teach more lessons and ultimately make more money, which of course is something that we all want. I'm going to make some more videos with tips specific to different aspects of teaching on italki, so please subscribe to my channel. I also make videos for English learners that maybe you can share with your students if you want to. And please remember to like this video and comment if you have any questions. I'll answer them right away. Thanks for watching. Happy teaching!